Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Well, it's finally been confirmed. We now know the three Premier League teams who will be relegated from the Premier League down to the Championship for next season. Sheffield United went weeks ago, West Brom went yesterday. Tonight, it was the turn of Fulham, who have gone down following their defeat to Burnley tonight. We're going to be looking over Fulham's season as a whole. We're going to be looking at why things went the way that they did. And we're also going to be looking at what the future may hold for Scott Parker's side. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about the news tonight that Fulham Football Club have officially been relegated from the Premier League down to the Championship. They're going down, 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 down. Before a ball was even kicked, this season was going to be viewed as a big season for a club like Fulham, back in the big time, back in the Premier League, and with a young and hungry manager like Scott Parker at the helm. You felt that Fulham could possibly go on to attempt to build back their solid Premier League status that they had once upon a time and continue to make gradual progress season after season within England's top tier division. But for right now, it's not to be. A young and inexperienced manager like Scott Parker at the helm, who, like I say, it looks a very good manager, rough around the edges, but was also a great player, if you remember. Took Fulham through the Championship into playoff success last season to get the club back into England's top flight division. And, you know, he's not an idiot. He would have known that this would have been a massive challenge for him. An even greater and bigger challenge set out for him during this campaign than what it was last season. And not just for him, but I think for his players as well. And, you know, it isn't like this club as a whole looked at the season ahead and decided to back him with a lot of money in the transfer window in order to boost the chances of staying up in the Premier League. Of course, we know that a couple of seasons ago, Fulham did throw a lot of money at their problems. They came back into the Premier League. They threw a hell of a lot of money at trying to boost their squad and make their squad better and try and help their squad to remain in the Premier League for that season. But of course, as we know, it didn't work. And since then, of course, Fulham have yo-yoed between the Premier League and the Championship. Coming back into it this season, they spent a bit more sensibly, I'd say. I said they didn't go a bit gung-ho with the whole we have money to spend kind of thing. They went a bit more sensible. Now, whether that is actually down to their plan originally, whether that was going to be the plan originally set out for them, or whether that is because of the pandemic that was obviously took an effect on everybody and everybody's financial plans. Or maybe it could even be that the club are still paying off from mistakes of previous transfer windows. I'm not sure, but the fact is they didn't spend a great deal in either transfer window and they didn't go crazy with their money this time around. Either way though, before the season even kicked off, many people had put Fulham in the bracket of being relegation candidates. And you could kind of see why. I guess the inexperience of Parker was a contributing factor. But I guess the major contributing factor was probably the team that he had with him. The team didn't seem to have much in terms of star quality. There wasn't really much quality in terms of separating themselves from three other teams that you could possibly rank below Fulham. And I guess it kind of made sense that many people would put them in that bracket. I personally didn't. I felt that Fulham would have stayed up just because of having a hungry manager like Parker. He would get the team to all play for him and he would kind of get them to playing some sort of decent football overall and get them to keep their heads above water. Of course, it hasn't worked out like that. Not that I'm saying that the team weren't playing for him or anything. I just felt when you look at the season on reflection, you'll see that Fulham just didn't have that quality in key areas at times. And one of the areas is in their attacking sense, because defensively, if you look at Fulham defensively, strangely enough, Fulham's defensive record was actually pretty good. It was fairly mediocre for a side battling relegation. The club has the 9th worst or 11th best, depending on which way round you want to look at it, defensive record in the Premier League. The main problem for Fulham, like I say, lied at the other end of the pitch in scoring goals. Exactly. Scoring goals has been a major problem for this club this season. Only Sheffield United have a worse goals return and a goals tally this season than Fulham. And their highest goal scorer this season, Fulham, during this campaign, is Bobby De Cordova-Reid with 5 goals. Both things aren't good enough. This isn't good enough. You know, for a side wanting to try and survive, having the 2nd to worst goals return in the Premier League, having your top goal scorer only on 5 goals, isn't good enough. It's alright being defensively sound. It's alright being fairly decent defensively. It's all well and good. But you need to be able to put the ball in the back of the net at the other end regularly and on a consistent enough basis where you can then put together more results, you can start accumulating more points, and you can obviously start putting more of a survival bid together, shall we say. And obviously this season it hasn't happened, and scoring goals has been their Achilles heel. Because like I say, defensively, it's not terrible. It's not actually that bad. But no consistency in front of goal has contributed immensely and greatly to Fulham's downfall during this campaign. You look over their results, and yes, there have been some bright moments, but mainly, of course, it's been poor. Fulham didn't actually earn their first victory of the season until November, the beginning of November, where they actually won against fellow relegated side West Brom. Whilst other key results that aided their survival bid for as long as what it did before it eventually all went up in flames were wins against Leicester, Everton and Sheffield United. There were also draws against the likes of Liverpool and Tottenham. Whilst really, the last hurrah for Fulham, the last hurrah in terms of their final punch landed on the fight against relegation, came with a victory against Liverpool, a 1-0 victory against Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool at the beginning of March. A result that was a big victory in the career of Scott Parker and could have been seen as a big victory overall for Fulham. In terms of, that could have been the turning point to how they survived in the Premier League, but they never built on that. They haven't even won a game since that victory against Liverpool. They haven't won a game since then. They've not built upon that. They have not accumulated enough points. And their hopes of escaping the drop zone, of course, were slowly but surely diminishing week after week with poor result after poor result. Not building on it, not won a game since that win. And other teams taking advantage of their continuing doom and gloom in terms of results, again, all contributed to that gap between safety and relegation getting wider and wider for Scott Parker's side, till eventually it has become mathematically impossible for them to catch up. For the club overall and for the supporters, it's just not been a great season, unfortunately, for them. They would have loved it to have been back in the big time, back in the Premier League, watching their team back in the flesh of Craven Cottage against some of the bigger teams of the league. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, obviously, that hasn't happened. The next season, hopefully, as we continue to get more and more out of lockdown, fans start to return to stadiums and being spectators in different sports, they'll have to put up again with more championship games, it seems. But like I say, that could very well change next season. For the club, they have not achieved their main goal of staying up in the Premier League this campaign. But looking at it through the bigger picture, I firmly believe that sticking with Parker and seeing how the squad have reacted to him since him taking over, and with a bit more investment applied to this squad, in particular, finding a consistent goal scorer and goal scoring threat up front, Fulham could very well return to the Premier League next campaign. It isn't out of the realms of possibility of them achieving promotion at the first time of asking from the Championship. They've got the experience of doing it from last season. Their squad hasn't changed too much since then. They now have obviously a Premier League campaign and a wealth of Premier League experience under their belts now as well. And I think it will be important to keep the core squad together, build on it accordingly, and of course keep Scott Parker as well, because he seems a very young, rough around the edges, promising sort of manager that maybe can go on to do something in this country in terms of management. I would say that bouncing straight back up for this club is a real possibility. But like I said with West Brom yesterday, the Championship is a very difficult league to navigate through. It's tricky, it's unpredictable, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Of course we will. But for right now, all we know is that the Championship will certainly welcome back Fulham to the Football League with open arms. But of course, like I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Fulham's season this campaign? What do you make of them going down and being relegated right now? What do you make of their future? What do you make of them being in the Championship for the next campaign? Will they come straight back up? Will they lie low in the table, or will they continue on a downward spiral? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down in the comment section below regarding Fulham Football Club. I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and fun be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.